Hi guys, I'm Garen.
I'm JD.
And this is Investigating Comic Club, where we chronologically read, review, discuss, and rate specific crucial stories of the medium.
Indeed, and we hope that you guys will subscribe to become Misfit members of Comic Club yourselves. Share your own opinions in the comments below. Stick around till the end of our conversation for our episodic comic quality poll, as well as after the Misfit Picture Shows logo for any potential bloopers that the episode could provide.
Yes.
Mr. Garen, we're doing something a little different today, and in fact, this is our first non-Marvel comic since we started Investigating Comic Club. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So we started Investigating Comic Club in July, and we did the 2 companion series. We're doing Chronological Marvel and Hickman's X-Men relaunch, and those just kind of went side by side. We're nearing the end of kind of both.
Yeah. Yep.
And now that we're nearing the end of those, outside of our once a week for sure something new comic on Wednesdays, we're not entirely sure what we're going to do next. Maybe Watchmen? I think we're leaning towards that.
I mean, I'm hoping. I'm hoping for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
But this one, there's another thing that's pretty cool. I checked right before. This is our 50th episode of Investigating Comic Club that we're recording.
What?
Cheers, Garen.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's awesome.
Indeed, I'm not sure if this episode will be the 50th that we release.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we record them and then release them differently. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the 50th that we are recording, which is cool.
Yeah.
We started recording podcasts actually a couple years ago. We weren't in the greatest of places. Socially, we were feeling pretty antisocial and also at times lonely. And we found great company in certain YouTube podcasts. I was grateful to express my gratitude to Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin a couple months ago on their Fat Man Beyond podcast. Which actually we have a video of that clip on our channel.
Yes.
And while I did that, I also expressed that Comics Artist Pro Secrets was another channel that I got company from at that time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to do this as our 50th episode. Comics Artist Pro Secrets is a channel by Ethan Van Sciver, who is the creator, writer, and artist of CYBERFROG Blood Honey, which we're going to be reviewing today by All Caps Comics. Garen, see All Caps, Comics Artist Pro Secrets.
I see it.
Pretty cool. So I was working at a comic book store in the 90s, and I was aware of CyberFrog. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I probably got to know Ethan Van Sciver as far as recognizing his name to go with his art during he actually was working at Marvel and was doing X-Men with Grant Morrison. Which is there's that book that's on your bookshelf that you're going to read, the omnibus.
Can't wait.
So yeah, I became aware of Ethan Van Sciver during that. He went to DC and worked with Jeff Jones on Green Lantern, had a very long and pretty awesome run on that, and Flash, and they did Blackest Night. With some controversy, Ethan Van Sciver left DC Comics, continued to work on Comics Artist Pro Secret, his YouTube channel, and build his audience up with the intention, I believe, to bring CyberFrog back from the 90s, do something new with it, and launch an Indiegogo campaign. While we've been doing this, I haven't been listening to any of the channels as often as I used to.
Yeah.
You know, I think that just happens when you're creating certain content. We wanted to create this podcast content to add to the YouTube content that helped us so much. That was why we started Investigating Comic Club. Since we've been doing it, I haven't been listening that much, but as far as I know, he is still the top crowd-funded comic of all time. And with this one comic book and its 3 covers, he raised over $1 million.
That's cool.
Which, yeah, that's absolute insanity, especially
for a
considering
comic, and it's crowdfunded, and it's
Yeah.
like it's
any
Yeah.
gauge. That's an amazing achievement,
Yeah.
especially considering nowadays in the comic book industry, you are really, really lucky if you and your comic are selling consistently above like 60,000 copies.
Yeah.
So $1 million for a single comic is outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
I backed it during its first campaign and got the 2 comics. It came with a couple of ash cans, CyberFrog 1998 and Amphibionics. Amphibionics, I believe, is from 1998. It was released originally. He did that, and then for this, he recolored it and relettered it, and then this is all new. I believe the campaign was originally like 36-page comic, which turned out to be 50 pages and 20 for that, which is pretty cool. And it also came with a sticker and a bookmark. And a little 2-pack of cards.
Yeah.
It was a fun package to get. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding him. I found, for me, Kevin Smith, Mark Bernardin, and Ethan Van Sciver, you couldn't get very different as far as personalities. Very, very different personalities. I'm never one to feel threatened by somebody who has a different opinion than me. I think it's actually, as a storyteller, really exciting. And I love to get into like a healthy conversation with those people and learn about them. And not even in a way that's like challenging them and trying to convince them that my opinion is right, or it just is opinions. And I think as long as your opinion is not harming yourself or harming others, then go create. Make an effort to stay inspired. Inspire. That's kind of it. So I think it'll be fun to do a separate video for the ash cans. Just like a smaller one kind of thing. And this one just focused on CyberFrog Blood Honey, which is kind of the opening salvo. I believe this is going to be a multi-part story. Any initial thoughts before we start at the beginning? Mr. Guerin?
Jumping into it, knowing kind of the background of almost the politics behind everything, but also then how it affected you and helped you along the way. And you jump in and you're reading a comic and you're trying to clear your mind to I'm just reading a comic. And then to sit down and read it, and for it to almost be a refreshing joy to read something again. Like it is that refreshingness where you're just like, oh God, like if there was, knowing that how this worked out, this is one that I wish was coming out next week again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I agree. And it is, you talk about escapism fun. This isn't wrong. It's like, it's not trying to be anything that it's not being. It's called CyberFrog. And it is a frog and a salamander.
Like it's not trying to be anything it's not.
Fighting bees.
And I do enjoy that reading this and reading the 2 ash cans, you don't need to read the 2 for this to be there. It actually, they complement each other very well. As far as like, oh, that's what's happening there, this is what's happening there, but it's still, you're not losing anything really if you're just reading this.
I agree. Well, jumping into part 1, I don't think it says prologue, I think it says part 1. I guess it's right there.
Part 1. Yes.
So right in part 1, right from the beginning, the opening page, you really immediately see the colors by Kyle Ritter and the lettering by Omni. And it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely.
It is.
And one thing kind of stood out to me. It looks like an egg with the you-know-what missing its mark, which I'm not sure if that was the intention.
Oh, that's funny.
But for what occurs in the story,
it
makes
kind
sense. Of looks like that.
That's awesome.
Kind of how I felt.
I enjoyed the first part of, there's 2 things that kind of, I enjoyed the very first 2 pages of it being kind of like a movie opening with credits.
Absolutely.
Like that was awesome for me to see, like just that whole straight up, here's a scene, boom, here's the title. Boom, here's a shot, boom, here's the colors, boom, here's the lettering. The thing that kind of took me out of it, which I understand and I do like, but it did take me a little bit out of the art a little bit for the first few pages, was the lettering. It was like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. Going back to the all around of just the character behind it. It's very, me, I love Deadpool. So it's very that like, you know, the different coloring and lettering for the main character, for the different people. For this, the initial lettering for Mother, it was almost, I had to decode it. Like, I mean, it's good, it's fun. But there were sometimes it took away from the art.
I got you.
Where I was like, I was almost trying to keep up with, okay, what am I saying? What am I saying? Cool. This is awesome writing. But what does that say? What does that say? Okay,
you
on
had
the next
to get
thing.
into the rhythm of her speech.
Yeah.
Completely understand that, like, it does take you a moment to get into it.
But then jumping into everything else, where it's like downloading the language and everything, and then how the lettering changes even after that, and you're like, at first it caught me off guard, but I still enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, I would agree with that about the lettering. It reminds me, you said that the first comic you may have experienced was Spawn.
Yeah.
That your buddy gave you a bunch of issues of Spawn, which made me feel really old. It reminded me of the letters of Spawn, those first 10 issues. And at the time, those letters that Spawn had, they were a part of the art. It was kind of this revelatory, like, what? This is really different. And this had that sense and that feeling, which I enjoyed. I think that, like, when the mother's name is Calcin, I believe. When she first mentions the Vizbiz, and the, like, actual lettering gets
changed.
Right there.
Yeah.
Almost like it causes ruckus, like a bug in the system. I thought that was really cool. There is a threat, and I don't think that it happened, but there's a threat that it's almost too fancy for its own good. I think that they get a balance. I think once you get to the 10th page, you're into the rhythm of it. And it's just got that personality. And I think one of the good things it does, there is so much detail that Ethan Van Sciver puts in every panel that dialogue and the lettering slows you down to take a look. And I think that, you should be slowing down and taking a look at every panel because he puts a lot of effort.
It made me, it did, even though I said it took away from the art, it made me stop and pull back. But if I was reading it, because it is one of those where I'm like, I was excited to read, so I kept going, but I'm spending so much time on reading the text that I just want to keep going instead of, then I stopped myself and I looked back and I'm like, oh my God, look at that. It's the giant exoskeleton and everything of the frog.
It's cool. I think that when I got to that page, which, is poster worthy, it's a wonder. What a perfect melding of lettering, art, color. It's really a wonder. And it reminded me, it just made me feel like this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meets The Matrix.
Yeah, and I mean,
and it's
makes I don't know if it's in which one it was, but he makes a Turtles reference, and that already got me hooked. So.
Right.
Yeah,
actually, you're right. I like the detail that Calcin and their species is looking for Boy Scouts, and they're nowhere to be found. Where are these adventurous Boy Scouts? Just a frog.
Yeah.
It's there's humor to it, and I think
it's real life humor. Like it's that underline. It's a frog but it's still, you can see the undertones of his personality and his viewpoints. Yeah, and it comes out in this with even his just some of the sarcasm. Even just like it's that fun joking around about a serious situation that isn't real to us, but in this world is.
It's sincere.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very sincere, and I think that again we'll talk about the Ashcans a bit on our next episode. But in the 90s one, the Amphibionics, that sincerity isn't there.
No,
like that was 21 years ago or something.
And it is,
you can tell that he's a 20-year-old.
Yeah. But which is funny because I think in the Amphibionics is that Deadpool mindset of like that, like that non-sincerity,
fun, yeah.
but the fun, just like, oh, I can't believe this. Oh, how much space are you going to have? You know, that was what I loved, which kind of was missing from this, but it still had just enough where I was like, no, you still have this was more story bait. Like, I can see it could probably still come back even more so.
Exactly. We're not spending that much time, honestly, with CyberFrog in this issue.
Yeah.
So I do feel like that probably is still his personality.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit less cynicism. Like, I feel like there's some heart behind these characters.
Yeah.
And the relationships that are set up between CyberFrog and Salamandroid and Heather and Cal Sin. Like, you sense the bond.
Yeah, yeah.
And I knew that Ethan Van Sciver was certainly an artist to behold.
Yeah.
But I have never read anything. Like I said, the CyberFrogs from the 90s weren't for me, but I'm impressed by his storytelling in this. I do feel like at the beginning when Cal Sin is saying that she's going to choose her words carefully.
Yeah.
I do feel like that. I feel like Van Sciver is choosing his words carefully.
Yeah,
He's challenging himself, I think, to produce the best that he can.
Yeah.
And I think it shows on the pages.
Even the way he draws Heather is just a work of art. Someone's going to get that as a tattoo.
Yeah, she's
like
beautiful.
That is just...
She's looking real good there. One of the things that I thought was really cool, if you flip back up until that page, all the colors are very, like, earth toned. And they look healthy. Deep, rich colors. And then when you get to that graveyard scene, it's almost diluted of life. And I thought that was a cool touch. One thing about Van Sciver that I've noticed sometimes is that with his human figures, when the action is going, they can feel a little stiff. Like there's a lack of fluidity there that you can see with the CyberFrog. I feel like maybe he gives himself a bit more freedom with CyberFrog.
Yeah.
And I think his humans, if he loosened up a bit on them, I think that they would benefit from that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how many people get that tattoo.
This is awesome. When Heather reveals her tattoo, I was smiling when I got to the end of that page. So just one from the dialogue and back to forth and the characters, like, I care for them really quick.
Yeah.
And it's charming. And there's a fun story behind this. Walter Simonson, who I've mentioned to you in the past, he's got that Thor omnibus. He's a great writer and artist. He did the cover of CyberFrog in the 90s that this is from.
Oh.
And it is kind of funny because it doesn't really look like CyberFrog. So he's kind of having fun on a few levels there.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good touch. That's cool. The transition from the graveyard to here, clearly with this one page, there's a passage of time.
Yeah.
And like you can see their outfits change.
Yeah.
So this isn't happening right in the graveyard. This happens sometime later.
Yeah.
I think there could have been, with Cal Sin, her voiceover could have happened a bit better.
Yeah.
Like she could have said something, eventually this and this and that. Just this passage of time could have
that makes sense.
a bit tighter.
Because I did notice that, but I don't think I questioned it. You know? I was just like, I think I did a double take.
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
Right. Yeah, that little moment of you were taken out of the story for a moment. I was really impressed with his script. Again, like I said, I haven't read anything from him. Part 2, I enjoyed spending a bit more time with the characters. You get a sense that they're there. And again, the 98 Ashcan complements this further.
Yeah.
But you get a sense that it has been 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, it goes 96 to 98. And they're going and they're taking care of some business and some kind of casual between Heather and Salamandroid and Cal Sin all at this time.
They've been around each other.
Exactly. And even between CyberFrog and these villains. And it's pretty cool how that all shifts. The mood of that fun kind of romp shifts when the president is taken out of the room.
Yeah.
And the stakes kind of ramp up. And legitimately, the tension happens like that.
Yeah.
When the Vizpiz invade.
Yep.
It's kind of startling how graphic
No, look at that.
gets.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of getting away with, like, that's honey. It
Yeah.
is their blood.
Yeah.
Blood honey. But it's so graphic that
Yep.
it kind of takes that fun, and you remember that, oh, this is the telling of how humanity lost.
Yeah.
There's this losing battle that is about to occur. And that, like, I love, what is his name? The bad guy?
Rumblebee?
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Rumblebee. And the, what is it, 8 pollen? Pollen 8 that Salamander starts killing, and it's like pollen 6.
Pollen 6 plus 4. Yep.
It's
No,
pretty
just
great.
the names of it. It's like you almost his writing and his art is so good. You don't even question the fact how just absurd the name of the characters
Yeah.
and everything is.
Yeah, it's a delight.
Yeah.
It is. It's just a fun time. And that fun time, like, this is his detail, and the coloring is fantastic.
It looks great. I don't know what paper you're using, but it looks great. I do like that it is 1998. I do like that it's like, of course it's...
Monica.
Yep, of course you have to throw that in there. Yeah, he takes him out. They're fighting. President leaves. And this whole time you're going like, what about Heather? You know, you're like, what about her? Because you're over here fighting.
This page. Honestly, the detail.
Look at the teeth.
It's kind of stupid.
Yeah, the teeth, the tongue, the texture of the tongue, the shadows.
Look at the reflection of his face. These.
What?
There was one. Where did I see it? Yeah, right there. Look at the reflection in
Yeah,
his shoulder.
no,
blades
that's
there.
ridiculous.
It is kind of stupid, and clearly Ethan Van Sciver's a little insane to have this much patience. No, it really is.
No, it is.
But you talk about inspirational, and that is inspired.
It's very inspiring. It's very I just think about all the work he had to do to put into making this comic. You know, like, for as much as I'm like, oh, I can't wait, I want the next one. And then I'm just like, how long are we going to wait?
It's going to be a while.
It's going to be a long time. But you see what he puts into it, you know, and you see the detail behind it. And
yeah, there's a lot of care going on here. I was a little lost because they're stationary. Salamandroid is taking care of the pollen 8.
Yes.
And then things shift. Rumblebee or one of the pollen 8 says, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Forget it. I don't see who's driving when the trucks start moving. I felt like I was actually missing a page, which is a shame because this is such an important moment.
Yeah.
I felt like, oh, did I? And I kind of flipped back.
Yeah.
Which at this moment, this is, you know, him going kind of into hibernation for 20 years. You don't want to be taken out at that moment in the story.
Oh yeah, no, it's not.
So,
but
that's
I did
too bad.
I couldn't tell. There's a lot going on.
Did you get a little lost there too?
No, I got lost. This is another one where it's like, it's so detailed and yet there's so much going on, but it is like a movie. There's some things you just don't see. There's, even in the movies, you miss certain things.
True,
but I'm trying to see, far as
it is
how
too bad.
It got to him driving.
And who the guy, like when the guys inside started driving, and I didn't know that there were guys involved with the pollinate and Rumblebee. So I feel like there might be another page there.
But it was I do like the last page of that part where it goes into jump, zoom, shutdown mode, hibernation mode, initiated, and it was like, oh.
What a gorgeous transition of these colors into the blue, into the drink.
Hibernation part 3. Yeah, just the colors are so vibrant.
Yeah, watching you flip through this, I look forward to reading it again. Yeah, there's a lot that I kind of missed. This is a funny little bit where he goes down and then jumps up and kind of sucks the air in. Gives a giant croak.
And then it's like, oh, how long have I been gone? Heather, where's Heather? And the jump, that's a great, like that's from a movie or TV show. Like that's not.
It's gorgeous.
That's crazy.
It's really pretty. And that's the colorist there that's really shining.
And then for it to be, who are you? My mom has that tattoo. Mom? CyberFrog is back.
Yeah, and I think, suddenly, bam, it's done.
Yep.
And we've talked on some of the other reviews where you should never be feeling like, why isn't there more? you should be wanting more.
Yeah.
And I did definitely feel like I wanted more
Yeah.
after this.
Yeah.
It wasn't, that would rip off. Like,
Yeah.
where's
No,
the rest of the story?
It was very much I wanted more, but how done in the different 3 parts gave you enough of a story. Again, not a lot of character, not a lot of in-depth portion of you to get connected, just enough for you to get connected and see their connection between all 3 of them and everything, and to get the whole storyline, but just enough. It was almost like a prelude of this story to come.
Right.
And
Which
then-
for a 50-page kind of setting the table,
Yeah.
which is pretty impressive for 50 pages. You know, it feels like this is the beginning of something pretty epic.
Yeah.
And I think that he's done a great job of setting the table with the characters, the stakes, the world. And I think us as readers, just like the POV character CYBERFROG, we're a little lost. We're, unbalanced.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that that's kind of the appropriate ending for that. And what, I've got a soft spot already for Salamandroid. I was sorry to see him fall, wondering where he's where he's gonna be. I'm sure he'll be back. How were you feeling when you were finished?
When I was finished, I, like I said, wish it was coming out next month, the next issue. Wanted more.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're giving it grades like I normally do, I give this one an A.
Nice.
So
That's awesome. I don't think it's without its flaws, but it was a dynamite romp. Yeah, I would give it an A too.
yeah,
And I definitely look forward to the next chapter.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. If you guys, I don't know actually, if you guys haven't gotten it, I don't know if there's a current Indiegogo campaign where you can get it at the moment. Once he launches the second one, I'm sure that he will be offering this one again. So there'll be like a package. I do think that he has the ash cans available right now. But yeah, I can't be certain. But check Indiegogo.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. Like I said, I'm a little unplugged.
Yeah.
But I do give it a recommend. And if any of you have read it and do have it, if you have any opinion at all that differs or you share our opinion, please share those opinions in our comments below. We would love to hear from you.
To be continued.